Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be kissing, touching, and sexual advances. Well, I've got a really good email here from a guy I've been coaching. I think I've done 2, maybe 3 phone sessions with him. And when I first started working with him, he was out of a relationship that he'd been in for a lot of years, and he was in a relationship where he basically settled. And since I've been working with him, he has basically been taking action and changing his approach, and he's having a much better success on the dates that he's going out with. And it's really cool to see somebody make progress and get excited about the progress and the successes that they're having. And I've got a second email that's from a guy that's doing really well also. So I got a quote on this topic because this is something I get a lot of emails about, and I notice a lot of guys tend to struggle with this. Like, you get out on a date, it's like, when do you go for the kiss? When is touching appropriate? How do you conclude things in the bedroom successfully? And so you're going to see a lot of this, but it's really just a mindset. Because at the end of the day, women, it's like most guys are so impatient and they're so focused on sex and getting laid. Really, all you have to do is kind of hang back and enjoy your time with the woman when you're on a date. And as her attraction level grows, she starts to lean in, she starts to bump into you, she starts to touch your arm. She may even come over and sit next to you, or if she is sitting next to you, her knee just kind of slowly migrates over to the point where it's touching yours. And those are little subtle things that a lot of guys don't know what that means. But it's like I talk about in my book. When a woman likes you, she will put herself into your orbit. And that's part of her putting herself into your orbit. And that is her reward to you for the fact that you've made her feel safe and comfortable enough and made her feel like you actually care about who she is and you're not just trying to get into her pants. And so I got a quote that I wrote. I want to share that with you, and we're going to jump right into the first guy's email. And the quote says, "Most men are too impatient with women when it comes to kissing, touching, and sex. Foreplay, banter, teasing, and great conversation build sexual anticipation. Men who understand women know that women will gradually move closer and closer to them the safer, more comfortable, and sexually aroused they feel towards them. Women are natural touchers and nurturers. If you simply enjoy the company and conversation of the women you are with, they will start to touch your arm, lean in towards you, sit next to you, let their knees slowly touch yours, bump into you as you casually walk together, bump your hand with theirs, etc., in hopes that you notice their invitation that touching is okay and desired. When it comes to kissing, if you are unsure of when a woman is ready to be kissed, look at her lips while in conversation and in close proximity to her. If she looks at your lips also, she is ready to be kissed. Go for it. Kissing leads to heavy petting. Then after some passionate kissing and heavy petting, you can say, 'Would you care to join me for a glass of champagne or tea or coffee if you're not a drinker back at my place?' If she says yes, then kissing and heavy petting back at your place leads to slowly wandering hands and clothes starting to come off. Safe, hopefully, sex usually follows shortly thereafter. Men should lead the interaction to a successful conclusion in the bedroom, but only after women extend the physical invitation and their receptivity first, before escalating things sexually to prevent rejection." So let's go ahead and jump into this guy's email. And like I said, I've done several email coaching questions with him where I've answered, and I've done 2, maybe 3 phone sessions with him over the past couple of months. He's doing really great. Because his thing was he was really trying to get out of something that was mediocre, because he's never really experienced spectacular. And so you're starting to see a guy who's actually now starting to go out with the kind of women that he really likes, and he's actually making good progress with them. He just does a beautiful job. He says, "Hey Corey, I'm looking forward to our next phone coaching session. I just wanted to share a personal success story with you in the meantime." He says, I asked in the email coaching recently about kissing on the first date. Immediately after your reply, I had 2 more first dates, again, both with heavy makeout sessions, and this time I think I handled it quite okay. They both said before we met that they liked it a lot, me getting straight to the point and asking them out, making a definite date, and then showing up at the right spot and the right time. Women like men who are decisive, because women tend to typically be vague and a little indecisive. And at the end of the day, it's up to you as the man, as the leader, to lead things to a successful conclusion. That's why women don't like it when a guy goes, what do you want to do tonight? Where would you like to have dinner? What do you want to do this weekend? They want you to make the decision and come up with a good idea and then invite them to join you. It's like when you walk into a restaurant and it obviously looks like it's a big wait and there's a bunch of people at the counter. You don't look at her like, what do I do, mommy? Should I go and ask the hostess how long it's going to be? You say, I'll take care of this. And you walk right over to the hostess stand, put your name in, and then come back and say, hey, well, it's a half-hour wait or it's a 45-minute wait. But you know what? Let's go grab a glass of wine at the bar. Let's go grab a cup of coffee at the bar. Or let's go have a hot tea at the bar. And then lead her over there and enjoy your conversation and your dinner instead of going, hey, the wait is 20 minutes. Do you want to stay here or do you want to go somewhere else? That's not what a woman wants to hear. She wants you to handle that. She just wants to show up, look hot, have a great time, and have a gentleman who knows what the fuck he's doing seduce her. He continues on. Both of them said, hey, I'm not used to this, but it's cool. Hence, another reason why my book is called How to Be a 3% Man. Because 3% of the people in the world have all the wealth and all the success and the things that most people envy and desire and dream about. And that's why it's so awesome, especially when you get around super beautiful, super successful women. Because most guys get around a really beautiful girl and they come unglued. They can't help themselves. They just turn into total ass-kissing, wussy pleasers. He says, on the date with the first woman, we had a great connection right from the start. We laughed a lot, and soon she began touching my leg with her leg and came closer and closer. That's exactly what I was talking about. He's just hanging out and having fun at this particular moment. The hooking up starts a little later. He says, so at one point, I started kissing her, and it was perfect. He says, it's funny how the women say, oops, I'm breaking the golden rule of kissing on a first date, which is you don't kiss on a first date, supposedly. See, at the end of the day, society says, oh, you shouldn't do that. But yet, she goes out on a first date with a guy whose game is pretty tight. She's having a good time with him. And it's the first dude in a long time she's come across that actually knows what he's fucking doing and acts like a man. So therefore, she can't help herself. She can't keep her hands to herself. She started touching him. He's just sitting there minding his own business, having a great time, laughing. Like this happens all the time. Guys who are always touchy-feely within the first moments of meeting a girl or meeting up with her on a date before they've even had a chance to talk, those are guys that obviously ain't getting laid and they don't have a lot of women in their life. Women know this. They get this because most guys act this way. So when you show up and you're kind of keeping your hands to yourself, you're sitting there with your legs spread out, you're leaning back in your chair, you're just laughing, you're having a good time. Think about it. Is James Bond all touchy-feely and got his hands all over a girl instantly the moment they meet? No. He's just hanging out, usually with kind of, I'm not sure if I really like this girl enough yet. And what typically happens later, because his attitude is, he knows how it's going to end later in the evening. Why? Because that's what always happens. Why? Because he's fucking James Bond. And this guy is acting like James Bond. Calm, cool, collective, charming, funny, playful. And when the cues are there, he makes the move. Why? Because this is what always happens from now on with his dates. He says the second woman already looked awesome in her pictures. She's living in another city, and I asked her out, I think, 4 weeks in advance. And we had no contact since, and she said, hey, you are so easy and uncomplicated to date. I like that. That's fucking awesome, dude. Good job. In other words, she's saying, God, it's been forever since a guy knew what he was doing. He says, so I was there, and then she came in a fucking Lambo and just looked fucking hot. A total 9 or a 10 girl. She's obviously very successful, takes care of herself, has a fucking kick-ass exotic car. And women like that, it's like the average guy gets around a woman like that and they just fucking totally come unglued. They can't handle it. They don't know what to do. He says on top of this, she's a Latina and I have a giant crush on Latin women. It's like, dude, I feel you there. Brazilian women, Venezuelan women, Iranian women, Middle Eastern women, very feminine, very sexy, very amazing. He says, I was kind of gasping, and I had my usual thought, she is way out of my league. But I told myself, as you do, hey, she's just another woman. Treat her just the same. Exactly. This guy also is very successful and well off. He says, so I let her talk 80% of the time and all that stuff, and we changed locations, and I just waited. And it was so cool. After 2 hours, she suddenly started touching my arm and my shoulder, etc. 2 hours, they're just hanging out at the second place. So they'd probably been together 3 or 4 hours before she starts touching him. Think about that. Infinite patience, just like I talk about in my book. He says, I waited still longer. Then she put her lip gloss on, and I thought, you are right. So she's puckering up her lips trying to get your attention. It's the same reason why women flip their hair and run their fingers through their hair. It's like, hey, look at me, notice me. She's putting herself in his orbit, giving him subtle hints. Notice she's not being the aggressor and just leaning over and kissing him, which occasionally a woman will do that, but 99% of them will do what this woman does. Because they want you to be the man. You are, after all, the one that has the penis, and you physically penetrate them. Therefore, you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to know what to do. They don't want to teach you this stuff. They just want to show up, and eventually, like for a woman, it's really letting go. Her letting go and trusting you and letting you have your way with her. That's what she wants. And that's what's going on here. It's like she communicates, she's receptive to kind of letting go of the control more and more, so you take things to the next level. He says then he's thinking to himself, I can't believe this is really working. What, you doubt the coach? Come on, man. He says, I watched her eyes, her lips, and bam, she started watching my lips, and it was all just so easy. And we had just such an awesome makeout. He puts awesome in big letters. Yeah, your chick's driving a fucking Lambo. She's fucking hot. You're making out with her. She's obviously very successful. High income, high net worth, super quality woman. This is the kind of woman I want for you. This is the kind of woman you deserve to be with. An awesome woman. They're just dying to meet a guy that gets this stuff. He says she not just looked hot, she is definitely a 10 as far as a kisser goes. Probably because she has a lot of pent-up sexual frustration because it's been so long since she met a guy who really knew what the hell he was doing. She complained about all the douchebag guys that she's dated, and the last one was shivering in front of her. He was so nervous, he couldn't help himself. He couldn't handle it. It's like the analogy I talk about sometimes about the monkey at the zoo in his cage who's masturbating and throwing his jizz and his feces at the people. Even though inside this guy's feeling like, oh my God, I'm not good enough, she's not going to like me, he's doing what I've taught him to do. And so on the outside, he's putting the vibration into the world, even though he still feels fear inside, but he's still taking the right actions. And over time, when you do this over and over and over again, and no matter how hot the girl is, it always leads to the same conclusion. That's what builds your confidence. That's what causes that fear inside of you to diminish to the point. It doesn't ever completely 100% go away, because each time you're on a new first date with a new girl, you're going to have a little bit of fear, but it's never going to be as bad as it was in the beginning. He says, I think 6 months ago, I would have been amongst the guys who was shivering in front of her. He says, I always thought in the last few weeks and months I am unable to fall in love, but here comes the first woman where I really feel something in my heart for her. So we'll see how it goes. I have some questions, more questions, but we can talk about that in our next phone session. Thank you. Awesome, dude. Great fucking job. I am so proud of you. You're kicking ass. This is your birthright. This is what you deserve. You act like a man, and you get a fucking hot rock star goddess who, in essence, is kind of all over you. And you didn't really do a lot other than hang out and have some fun. And then you hooked up at the right moment. Or the pre-hooking up, I should say. But at the end of the day, he went for the kiss when all the signs were there. So let's get into the second guy's email. He says, Hey Coach, today I am very pleased to write you again as my world is changing for the better in terms of my relationships with women. Everything seems to be natural, effortless, wanted, loving, deserving, and I would write many more adjectives if I knew them to describe my dating experiences that I'm currently having. Remember the story that I wrote you a while ago about this hot girl who was friends with my ex and we fucked like fucking monsters? I kind of do remember that one. This guy went out, he made some mistakes with his ex-girlfriend, got dumped, and that's the reason that he originally came to my work. He starts following what I teach, starts having some success, runs into a friend of his ex-girlfriend, and they fucked each other's brains out to the point where they were both fucking sore. She was walking like a duck for a few days, and his dick was so sore he didn't know what to do with himself. He says, a few weeks ago she contacted me, and I followed textbook everything. Setting dates, getting out the phone, letting her pursue 90 to 100%, answering texts later, understanding where she comes from emotionally, and never caving in to her texts, moods, and always having a James Bond smirk and a charming attitude that turned playfulness, teasing, and sexual innuendos into countless dates that followed the following script. Hang out, have fun, and hook up until you put the glasses of her car misted in your dick into a sexual coma. Nice. Good for you, dude. He says, my big positive changes in my viewing are related to strengthening my emotions to the point where I have an easy, natural attitude of indifference to everything, not just women. I get tons of looks by women. They tell me I'm sexy, and this particular woman just knocks my pants off every time I am with her. Oh, you poor baby. That must be really rough. He says, I mean, you know the awesome feeling of going through your body when listening to a woman in her complete feminine, feeling safe with me, talking nonstop, teasing me, grabbing my dick in the middle of the street, telling me she wants to kill any other girl who looks at me, wants to make further plans with me, on a tent, alone, and fucking nonstop. He says, heck, the condom even broke one time, and we laughed about it. Not serious. I teased about how if she didn't take the next day pill, we would have a boy who would be born with abs and 2 dumbbells in both hands. He says, because I love working out and I'm making huge body progress. Good for you, dude. You're focused on yourself. You're focused on making your life fucking awesome. And you're taking care of your body. And this girl obviously likes your body. He says, I teased her how I would love to create killer sperm and fuck her again to kill my previous sperm. Always joking, loving, and creating huge, loving, appreciative memories. She told me my ex was talking trash about me to her and that it didn't uncenter me, although I could have been sweeter because I called my ex a bitch and she kind of thought I still cared about her. That's the kind of thing where you say, you know what? Her loss is your gain, baby girl. Now bring those beautiful lips over here and kiss me. He says, I joked and everything was okay. I have a few questions to ask you, though. She complains I never text her. I call once a week as planned, but a very famous party is happening locally, and we see each other, and she texted me, and we meet almost daily. Well, it's okay to text every once in a while, but it's really not necessary, because at the end of the day, she's still texting you like crazy, and you're still calling her at least once a week. And when she brings up, say, you know what? I'm not a texter. I don't want to have a digital relationship with you. I'd rather have a in-person relationship. I'd rather have an in-person experience because I can't make out with my phone. So I'm not into texting. You maybe should do that with the other dudes that you're dating. But I'm all about getting together in person. I'm not a smartphone zombie. I have a life outside of my phone. And so I'm just not the kind of guy that's going to text you incessantly. It's just not my thing. I'm not into that. That's how you handle that because that's who you are. I don't like texting all the time on my phone. It's annoying. I don't like talking on my phone either because it fucking cooks my ear. I can literally feel it microwaving my brain. So I try to use my cell phone as little as possible. You see, I get in the elevator all the time or I walk around the street and there's people, they're like fucking smartphone zombies. You're just not watching where they're going, running into shit, running out in the traffic, stepping in holes. He says, I would like to text her something sweet here and there, but I can't do it. I just can't start pursuing her like I did in the past with my ex. But you say we go in a relationship. He says, we're just dating right now to give, and I would like to give that I am shitting ducks just thinking about it. That doesn't really make sense. He says, shitting ducks? Sitting ducks? I don't know what you mean there, dude. He says, can I text her once in a while with something sweet to say? Sure. Like, hey, baby girl, just thinking about you. Hope you have a great day. Maybe once a week you send something like that. And that's it. No más. And if she wants to chit-chat with you, say, oh, I'd love to chat. I can't. Sorry. I had a second away from work or what I was doing. I just, was thinking about you. I wanted to reach out to you. I'll see you tomorrow night for dinner. I'll see you later tonight, whatever happens to be, and then you get off the phone. Once a week at the most. It's all you need. He says, also, Coach, this girl has been clearly saying that she doesn't want other girls to look at me, and she doesn't quite know if I am over the X, and that shows that she's going in the right direction, but I am confused if this is her way of signaling me that she's viewing me as something more than a fuck buddy, for example. Well, you can always ask her, say, well, what do you mean? Why do you say that? Are you saying you want to be exclusive? You want to be boyfriend, girlfriend? You want to lock me down and get me all to yourself? You want to try to get me to get rid of my little black book? Get rid of all my other girlfriends? Tease her playfully like that. See what she says. What do you mean? Never assume. Ask. He says, I will never bring the relationship topic up, and I won't give a fuck if she leaves. I'll hang up, have fun, and hook up for life. So the question is she viewing me as a boyfriend material? Well, I don't know. You have to ask. But it definitely sounds like her attraction level, especially if she gets upset and jealous about other girls. So the question is, do you want to become exclusive with her? That's the only question that really should matter. Whether she wants to be exclusive or not is irrelevant. What do you want? Because if you don't want that, then you shouldn't agree to be exclusive if it's not what you want. He says she told me that she wants me to give her a shirt of mine for her to smell and masturbate to. Nice. He says, damn, this is amazing. I won't give her one unless she gives me her underwear too. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I hope you're doing good. I'm doing fucking outstanding. Thank you for asking. And you know what? Sounds like you're doing pretty fucking awesome yourself, dude. Good job. So you got 2 emails from 2 guys who are applying what I teach, and they're hanging out, they're having fun, and they're hooking up. Sex is just a natural escalation. It's just like I talked about in the quote, kissing leads to heavy petting. It's so easy just to go, hey, would you care to join me for a glass of champagne back at my place? And when you're all over each other, she's going to probably say, sure. And you say, great, get your car and follow me. Or you just lead her back to your car and you go back to your place and you either have champagne in the fridge or wine or you got coffee or tea or whatever. And while you're having your coffee or your tea or your wine, at some point she gets a little close to you again. She starts bumping into you. You grab her. You start making out. Heavy petting ensues. Your hands slowly start to wander. First thing is usually like the hand goes up behind the shirt and you undo the bra strap. That's just kind of subtle. Good way to start. Then maybe a little while later you start kind of unbuttoning her shirt. And the shirt comes off and the bra just kind of falls off. And then you start making out for a little while, feeling her boobs, feeling her nipples, maybe sucking on her nipples a little bit, maybe kissing them. Then, you go back to making out, and then after you're making out a little bit, your hands start to wander. They go down, they start undoing the first button in her pants. Then you go back to making out a little bit for a minute or two. Then a little while later, a little minute later or two, you unzip the pants or you undo a couple more buttons if there's no zipper. It's just like inch by inch. It's slowly things start to come off. And you run into any kind of resistance, it means you're just going a little too fast. Then you just kind of take 2 steps backwards. Chill out, relax, just like I talk about in the book. But no resistance, it's like you just keep going until you eventually run into resistance or you run into the resistance of bottoming out inside of her when you're beating up her pelvis with your pelvis. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the Products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.